Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour on Saga 960. We're now being joined by Kenneth Toppin, who is a real estate agent, and he's going to be talking on Thursday at this conference about geographical farming. What the heck is geographical farming, Kenneth?
Right. So it's a pillar in real estate of getting leads, right? So when you're a real estate agent, there are a variety of methods that you can use to get clients or to find clients, right? You can go to open houses, for example. You can knock around homes that are just sold or just listed. You can just work your circle of influence, like people that know you, like you and trust you already. You can work your social media. There's a variety of things that you can do. However, geographical farming is a method, right? And what it basically means is that you select a particular area, wherever it is, you select a particular area, a set amount of houses, and you just focus right there. So you target an area and only that area, and you just focus on it to generate business.
And how do you generate the business? How do you focus on that area? What do you do?
There you go. So the way it works is that in any single area that there's always a turnover rate. So the idea is that as a real estate agent, if you were to pick, say, 1,000 houses, and there's an average turnover rate, say, of 5%, right? So every year there's 50 homes selling, right? And you can go back to historical data from 2010, 12, 11, and so forth, and you'll notice that there's a standard turnover rate in a particular area. If you go to some mansions by the lake over $2 million, you may find that the turnover rate is like maybe 1%, meaning not many people move from there because they're happy. But if you go to some other areas where you have a lot of townhouses, starter houses, you may notice a higher turnover rate. So what geographical farming is that it teaches you to focus in on an area that has a standard turnover rate of at least 5%. So every single year there's 50 homes that are selling. And your goal is just to be the number one person in that area and to try to eat up as much market share as possible.
Okay, and how does one become the number one individual in that area?
Hey, time takes a while. You know what I mean? It takes a while, but like the main thing is just being very active in the community. So whether you're flyering, you're door knocking, throwing community events, right? The way that I did it in my career is through door knocking. So as you go out there, you meet people and you have the conversation, and then you get a listing, right? You get your first listing, you're signed on the lawn, right? And then the neighbor looks across the street and they say, "Oh my goodness, wow, I mean, look at Brian. He just sold that home in ample time, over asking. He's great." And then the neighbor sees Brian again. So the neighbor's house, and then now you're walking your dog, and you see Brian's name twice on house A and house B, and then you see it a third time. And after a while, when the community starts to see your sign saying for sale and sold repeatedly over and over again, you start to become the person that they just go to want their home sold.
And so the difference of this would be a scattershot strategy over a whole town or city. And so you're saying that this geographical focus is better because you can become the number one person, top of mind awareness
100%.
in an area.
It's the you know what these are the things that we don't learn this in, like, obviously high school, university. I went to York U, for example, and real estate school. They don't teach you this stuff. And it's a brain twist, right? Because, for example, you can make there's people that are making, over $500,000 off of a community of 1,000 homes. So meaning that you don't have to be the number one. And your example is beautiful with the scatter plot, because on my presentation I actually have example of, do you want your business to be, and where do you live, Brian?
Mississauga.
Yeah. So do you want your business to be in Mississauga, Brampton, Vaughan, Toronto, Durham, Peel, Oakville, all over? You don't need it. That's a scatter plot, right? Whereas for myself, so me being like top 1% now in Canada for real estate, about 80% of my business is in the Durham region, and then within the Durham region, about 60% of my business comes from Ajax. Then within Ajax, like 90% of my business comes from South Ajax. You know what I
You're
mean?
really focusing on one spot, and you're saying that that focus makes a lot more sense than the scatter shot approach.
Oh, it's 10,000%. So when I was working at Century 21, I just wanted to figure out, how do I grow and scale my business out. Then I joined Remax, and then I took a look at the list of the top 50. So I'm number like 10 now. But the idea is, I look at a list of these top guys, and I want to know what they were doing. You know what I mean? Like, what are you guys doing? And I noticed that like about 90% of them, they were the king or queen in their area, king or queen, meaning that they were, yeah, so they're the king and the queen in that area, and they were the go-to person. So when, for example, myself, Brian, I'm Kenneth Toppin, you don't know me too well yet, it's our first time meeting, but if I sold 30 houses on your street in Mississauga
We
and your
notice.
friend came and said, yeah, there
Good.
you go.
And
So yeah,
go ahead.
go on.
I was just going to say, so why would you then drive all the way across to Toronto to go to a conference in Mississauga to educate other people about what's your secret of success? What's the benefit of that? You should be out just worrying about South Ajax.
Yeah, but there's something that comes along in is that word called reciprocity, I think.
Yep.
Is that word where when my story when I'm going talking, it was a story of I was working at Rogers Wireless, and I quit my job, and I was making about $30,000 at Rogers, and then I met my mentor, and he was like, Ken, like you're a guy that should be making X. So my first award, I made 100 grand. I was super happy. I was super excited. And then my mentor, Paul Barron, said, nah, Ken, you know what? That's okay. But a kid like you should get at least quarter mil. You know what I mean? And I realized that there has to be people in your life that's going back, supporting and helping and training and educating, because there are going to be many realtors that are coming up right now who are looking at me doing like 54 deals a year or 50 deals a year. And they're wondering, like, what am I doing? And I do think it is good to go out there and give back and just have conversations with people as well. It's an important part of life.
So focus in one area,
Right.
lots of impressions. In politics, it's often thought of you have to have 7 impressions before people remember your name. So I guess in real estate, it's the same thing. That what you want is signs on lawns, and you want people to see it a bunch of times. And then also in politics, it's often thought that the best reference is someone else that's voting for you. And so therefore, I would think as well in real estate, it's got to be if you've sold someone else's home, that's a great recommendation. That sign saying sold on it, or sold over asking, or sold in X days, it's got to be a great recommendation on the street. So focus and impressions. And then you're talking about getting out and meeting people, and you're talking about doing that through flyering or being involved in the community and going to events or even knocking on doors and meeting people.
Right.
And then you're saying mentorship is
Right.
how you've been successful, and that you
Yeah.
want to pass on that mentorship to other people. And your final comment was reciprocity, such that that you want to do good for others as others have done good for you.
100%.
Sounds like a good speech that you're going to have.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. So, and we're gonna go over, how to pick a farm area, strategies to what makes a good farm area versus what makes a bad farm area, tracking your performance. So, how do you know, when you're going door knocking? How do you track your data, track your stats, and how do you just do it efficiently? So, it's gonna be a good presentation. It's really talking about how I was able to also scale my business, as well. So, I'm super excited.
Well, I really appreciate you joining us and telling us a little bit about your speech at this conference coming up on Thursday. I understand it's sold out, and so therefore other people
Yeah.
can't come out. But I think, all of you that have spoken to me today on this show have really, number one, expressed a bunch of interesting points relative to real estate. But more importantly, a lot of the points that you and Kate and Virginia have talked about have been very applicable to business and personal lives in general. And I think
Yeah.
it's been very helpful.
Yeah.
Reciprocity, do unto others as you would have them
Yeah.
do to you, is a pretty good rule that was written in an important book about 2,000 years ago. So I really appreciate it. Actually, that one was written in the Old Testament, so it's even older than that. So I appreciate you coming on the
As
show. Have a
as
great
I
time
as I
in
as I'm
Mississauga.
sitting in a
And give me a yell when you're in
as I'm sitting in a
Mississauga,
church parking
okay?
lot. Okay, brother. Thank you so much.
So that's our show for tonight. Thanks for joining you. I remind you, I'm on every Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock on 960 AM. You can stream me online, even from South Ajax at www.saga960am.ca. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining me.